Previously on Meerkat Manor, Flower moved the family to a new den, resulting in the abandoning of Daisy's newborn pups. And Tosca had her radio collar removed and remains an outcast from the family. Meet the Whiskers. Flower, the leader of the group. Zaphod, her partner. Yozarian, with some social problems. Mozart, the caring one. Tosca, the rebellious one. Courageous little Shakespeare. And the naughty kids. Welcome to Meerkat Manor. Where the 360,000 square miles of the Kalahari Desert starts to give way to scrub and bush, this is where you will find dozens of little families of meerkats, eking out a living from the sandy soils of South Africa's Northern Cape. Flower is head of the 40-strong Whiskers family, a unique group of wild meerkats. They're one of the largest and fiercest families in the area. But what really sets them apart from the other groups is that their lives have been studied by Cambridge University for the past 10 years. Using cameras at their burrows and a radio collar around Flower's neck, their every move is followed, and all the ups and downs of life in a large family are documented. And this family just keeps getting bigger. Flower is the matriarch and uncompromising leader of the gang, and she reserves the right to breed for herself alone. She's pregnant for the third time in less than a year, and as usual, has a fearsome appetite. Food is just one of the many problems facing Tosca. She was evicted from the family the last time Flower was pregnant. That was a few months ago, and now Tosca spends her time living a solitary existence on the edge of the group. No matter where the Whiskers go, Tosca spends her days trailing around after them, keeping a safe distance and hoping that one day she can rejoin her family. But because Flower's pregnant, she's unlikely to allow Tosca to return at this stage. A subordinate female who's had pups before might do it again, and this could jeopardize the well-being of Flower's litter. But Tosca never gives up, and today, she's getting a little too close to the Whiskers' burrow, strictly forbidden territory. So far, Flower is too busy foraging to notice her, but she's about to overstep the mark. Some in the group have spotted her and attempt to see her off. But Tosca is so desperate to rejoin the family, she's refusing to budge. Now Flower spots her and leads a second group intent on frightening her away, or beating her up if she's not quick enough. Poor Tosca finally loses her nerve and disappears back into the bush. With Tosca back in exile, the family starts to relax again, but everyone will be keeping a lookout for her. Flower lays down some extra scent marks to warn Tosca to keep away. And all Tosca can do is continue her lonely vigil. With the excitement over, the group heads off for some more foraging to one of their favorite locations. An old irrigation tank with its water trough attracts thirsty animals from the surrounding area. Although meerkats get most of their moisture from food, it's still a welcome source of fresh water in the middle of the day. Being the head of the family, Flower is the first to investigate. But the water is hard to reach and meerkats hate getting wet, so she's being very cautious indeed. Everyone is straining to get a little drink. You have to be very careful. One of the younger meerkats, Tosca's 5-month-old son, Jogu, is just a bit too small to reach the water. Very frustrating. The adults have no such problems. As the day wears on, Flower is starting to get tired. It's time to head for home and bring her latest litter of pups into the world. The rest of the group have also made it back. Normally, they only spend a few days at each burrow before moving on. But as this is where Flower is going to give birth, they'll stay put for at least the next 3 weeks. Flower is exhausted, and after a day in the blazing South African sun, the cool sand will feel very nice against her tummy. Overnight, Flower safely gives birth to a litter of healthy pups. It's early morning at Meerkat Manor, and Flower is the first to smell the morning air. Tucked up, deep in the burrow, are her 4 tiny babies. It's been a long night for her, but as the leader of the family, she can't afford to sleep in. She has responsibilities. Her partner, Zaphod, shares the duties, including warning off intruders, leading the family in times of crisis, and of course, fathering her pups. There's no time for slacking. They're going to be staying here for a while, and the burrow needs to be kept in tip-top shape. Anyone caught napping on the job can expect little sympathy. Tosca's teenage pup, Jogu, needs to clean up his act and start pulling his weight. Some of the daily chores are a bit more pleasurable than others. Grooming is the meerkat equivalent of taking a shower in the morning. Like most young boys, Jogu's brother, McMurphy, needs a bit of persuading when it comes to washing up. But getting rid of parasites is essential to the health of the whole group, so he has no choice. The next job of the day is to hunt for breakfast. Word soon gets out that it's time to leave, and everyone's ready to get going. There's just one problem. Someone has to stay behind to babysit Flower's new pups, but no one seems ready to volunteer. Flower is far too hungry to stay behind herself. Besides, she always leads the group on their foraging trips. It finally falls to young Jogu and his brother McMurphy. They are reluctantly obliged to stay behind and look after the little ones. In truth, they are much too young and irresponsible for such an important job. But the rest of the family are soon long gone and won't be back for several hours. The boys are left alone. Unfortunately, within less than 30 minutes, they're tired of their new job. Boredom and hunger are starting to get the better of them. It doesn't take much deliberation before the 2 little guys are off, leaving an empty burrow with 4 precious little pups inside. Almost a mile away, the rest of the family are taking a break from foraging and are, of course, oblivious to the potential danger that the pups are in. Flower would be heading straight home if she knew her pups had been abandoned. But for now, ignorance is bliss. Fortunately, one of the adults, The conscientious Shakespeare has followed his instincts and made his way back to the burrow to check up on the new litter, only to find the place abandoned. He has no idea what's happened, so he goes below to check on the pups. With the whole place looking deserted, Tosca takes the opportunity to creep closer to the burrow, too. She's desperate to rejoin the family. Meerkats need each other for protection and companionship. The reality is that a lone meerkat will not survive very long in this dangerous environment. It's not clear what she hopes to gain by snooping around. Maybe she hopes that the family will just accept her if they come home and find her here. Whatever the reason, she's so desperate that she's prepared to take another big risk. She can probably smell Flower's pups and wants to see them for herself. But her brother Shakespeare is ready to defend them. Despite their close relationship, he knows that the family doesn't want her around, and she has to go. Tosca is shaken and will have to resign herself to her fate. For now, her only companions will be the ground squirrels and other Kalahari wildlife. But how long she can survive like this remains to be seen. Half a mile away, and still totally lost in the bush, are her sons Jogu and McMurphy, the two hopeless and hungry little babysitters. The bush is no place for two little guys to be out on their own. And the further they stray from the burrow, the more serious things become. Despite their predicament, they're desperate for food. With no one to watch the skies, they decide to forage under the cover of the bushes, out of sight of any airborne predators. Jogu has found a giant millipede, just what they need if they're going to have any energy to make it home. Putting aside their usual sibling rivalry, for once the boys manage to share the prize. It's been a long day, and the family are starting to arrive home at last. Flower is keen to check on her pups and feed them. With their strength restored by the millipede, the two lost babysitters are trying to pick up the scent of the family. But it's no use asking any of the locals for directions. Luckily, the boys have unwittingly been wandering closer to home, and their keen sense of smell will soon be enough to guide them back. The Whiskers are all back at the burrow. Flower's pups are safe and well, thanks to Shakespeare. But so far, the group is unaware that the boys are missing. It's evening by the time the little guys finally sniff their way to safety. They've had a very lucky escape, but are uncertain how warmly they'll be welcomed. Luckily, no one bats an eyelid. The two little lads can finally relax and go back to being playful teenagers again. No more babysitting duties for them. It's been just a week since Flower gave birth, and the pups are still underground. But life moves quickly for the Whiskers, and Flower is becoming fertile again. She could have a litter every 3 months or so, and if she gets pregnant, this will be her 4th litter of the year. Flower is now mother of 29, and looking at her contented family, it's quite an achievement. Her partner, Zaphod, is a constant source of support. He's her first choice when it comes to mating, so he makes sure that he treats her well. But he's got his work cut out during this fertile time. If a roving male from a different family turns up, Zaphod will be keeping a very close watch. It's not long before the Whiskers follow their usual routine and head out for the day's foraging. If Flower is to have another litter, she needs to get back into condition fast, and this means eating as much as she can find. But around this part of the Whiskers' territory, they overlap slightly with the lazuli, their arch rivals. The two groups have already had several bloody battles over territory. So everyone keeps a careful lookout when foraging, just in case the lazuli are around. Unfortunately, it's not long before the group picks up an enemy scent. They've discovered an active lazuli burrow and want to know if anyone is home. If the lazuli are in residence, then they can expect trouble. These two groups simply won't tolerate each other, and the Whiskers are preparing for battle. They go in like a mob, but it soon becomes apparent that what they've found is a litter of pups belonging to the dominant female of the lazuli. In the dog-eat-dog world of meerkat politics, these pups are fair game. And if the Whiskers can dig them out, they will kill them. Zaphod is focused on keeping watch for any sign of the pup's family returning. Suddenly, the lookouts pick up the scent of an intruder, and the digging has to stop immediately. By chance, Magnus, a huge lazuli male, has returned home. His presence is enough to distract the family from their murderous mission, and now they want to see him off. Zaphod can smell him, but can't see him, and worse still, he can't see Flower. She'll be giving off a scent to say she's ready to mate, but he's not there to guard her. Like all male meerkats, Magnus is an opportunist when it comes to mating. With the pups no longer in danger, his attentions turn to Flower. But Zaphod is determined to see him off, if only he could find him. Magnus breaks cover, but he's too quick for Zaphod. But the rest of the family are still on alert, but they can't find Magnus either. He's taking advantage of the undergrowth. And making steady progress towards Flower, who's all alone. But poor old Zaphod just can't find him. Magnus has found a great vantage point from which to look for Flower. But just as he spots her, the rest of the Whisker males spot him and come to Flower's rescue. Zaphod is outwitted and scent-marking like crazy. After all the commotion, the Whiskers decide to call it a day. So the lazuli pups have a very lucky escape from their fearsome neighbors. As another day for the Whiskers draws to a close, the events of the last week have brought them closer as a family. Whether they're seeing off rival males or ex-family members, they always show a united front. And they seem to share a genuine bond of care and affection for each other. Flower can enjoy the privileges of being top cat and has proved to be worthy of the role, providing the family with strong leadership and a future in the form of a new generation. All the youngsters in the family are in high spirits. And tomorrow, it will be business as usual for this family of survivors. Next time on Meerkat Manor, Flower's pups emerge for the first time, and one bold youngster decides he's ready to go off for a solo adventure.